Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. If this is your first time here, my name is Jody and I love watches, especially ones that offer outstanding value for money. If that sounds like your cup of tea, I would love you to subscribe to the channel by hitting the relevant button on your chosen device. If you are, on the other hand, a regular visitor here, you may well get a kick out of today's video. I'm going to present to you my top 10 Chinese specials. Now, I've been making videos on these so-called Chinese specials now for about 12 months. Watches from AliExpress and Gearbest.com that offer just incredible specifications for really not an awful lot of cash. And as Chinese retailers get ready to go crazy with discounts on the 11th of November, the so-called Double 11, I thought what better weekend than to present you a video with some of my favorites to date. Now, all of these watches are available from either Gearbest.com or AliExpress. I did a bit of research regarding pricing. I'll leave links to all of them in the description of the video below. But I thought I'd start with two pieces of advice if you're considering adding one of these nuggets to your collection. The first is to have a bit of patience. You're going to be waiting 2, maybe 3, 4 or even 5 weeks for one of these to arrive through your letterbox. So order it today, then forget about it, and it'll be a little bit of a bonus when it does turn up. Tip number 2, inspect the watch carefully before you peel all of the stickers. These watches are built to a budget. Occasionally the odd one passes quality control that probably shouldn't. AliExpress and Gearbest will both take returns, but you're always in a better position if you haven't opened the packaging, thereby haven't fully committed to the watch. So make sure you give it a good once over before you put it on your wrist. Alright, enough waffle, let's get on to today's top 10 list of horological bargains. So as usual, these are in no particular order, but as usual, I will start at number 1 with one of my favourite picks. It's this one, the watch that I'm wearing today, the Caddison C1032. Now these are on Gearbest currently for $58 US. At the moment, if you spend over 40, you get 8 off. That applies to most of the watches today, taking it down to 50 bucks. However, AliExpress have got it on an 11/11 pre-order special for an outrageous $46.40, and you get a chunk of watch for that price. Now, you might have seen me do this before. Not exactly scientific, but if these Chinese specials claim to have sapphire crystal, I do a fairly rudimentary test using my $15 diamond selector too, using one watch that I know is sapphire, one watch that I know is not sapphire, and then testing the Chinese special in the middle. I got a nice positive reading from the Caddison today. And it's such a pretty looking watch. Lovely dimensions, 40mm diameter. It's going to suit the majority of wrists, 12mm thick, nice curve to those vintage style lugs as well, ensuring that it wears well. 20mm lug width and sized up for my 7-inch wrist. This one wears in about 110 grams, so it's got some wrist presence, but it's not overly heavy. 316L stainless steel case, crown, bracelet and case back. Full solid links on the bracelet, little butterfly clasp. They even managed to decorate it a little bit, and solid end links. Again, just great for the price. Such a pretty dial. They haven't overcooked the dial. Arrowhead indices applied Roman at 12, Dauphine hands, needle second hand, even a little date frame around the day-date complication at the 3. Flipping it around to the back, laser etched press case back, 30 meters of water resistance, and a display case back showing the movement. And the movement really is the star of the show for a 50. This is a Seiko NH36, 24 jewels, hacks, hand winds, rugged, robust, reliable, and bloody accurate. If you're picking up a watch for a 50 with one of these in it, you really can't go wrong. I mean, check the movement accuracy report on this one. Spinning away for a couple of weeks, coming in at bang on. Cost parameters for a 50, that is just outrageous. And it looks pretty good on wrist as well, assuming that you are okay with the high polished finish throughout, that is. Great set of proportions, great set of dimensions. It's going to suit the majority of people as noted. Plenty going on when you get it in the sunshine as well. High polished surfaces throughout, catching the light on all of those links in the watch. Lovely sunburst effect on the dial, as you can see. And 20mm lug width means you can swap this one out easily if you want to. I'm sure you've got a couple of 20mm straps lurking in the drawer. There it is on a Perlon, and again on a vintage leather collar ebb that probably cost more than the watch itself. So my recommendation, if you're going to pick up one of these, on 11/11 weekend, make it the Caddis C1032, you are unlikely to be disappointed. Now in at number 2, this is something of a new entry. I only just picked this one up a couple of weeks ago. Many of the watches on this list are quite similar. 40mm dress style casual office type pieces, perfect for Monday to Friday. This Roomis is a little bit different. It's a budget pilot's watch. And when Joma says budget, you know he means it. I paid $59.99, however on 11/11 it is down to under $53 US. I haven't found anything else like it at that price point. So it's a little bit of a mixture of styles and influences, mostly type B Flieger, but that big triangle and double dot up at 12 is pure type A Flieger, and we've got 24-hour markings on an inner ring, which is a little bit field watchy. Dead flat sapphire crystal. I think it manages to hang that look together, whatever it takes its inspiration from. 316L stainless steel case, crown and case back, this time in a PVD black coating, and check that leather strap. It is undoubtedly the best strap I've come across at the price. Beautiful graining, nice stitching, well sealed on the edges, and even has a matching Roomis PVD buckle on it. Overall visually, I think the colour tones are great. Some yellow numerals, some red numerals, matching nicely with that honey coloured leather strap. Now flipping it around to the case back, again screw down, 30 meters water resistant display case back. This time it's an NH35. Now the NH35 is the date only variant of the NH36, so all those Seiko qualities that I talked about in the previous Caddis, you'll be very happy with the performance of this one long term, I'm sure. Now the date reminds me of the Raymondville Freelancer. If you can't remember that 12 follows 11 or 10 precedes it, this could be the watch for you. You even get a little bit of lume. I think my picture's doing it favours, but the hands do glow nicely. Looks good on wrist. As mentioned, I think those colour tones all complement each other very well. Doesn't look like a $52 watch, does it on wrist? I don't think so anyway, especially not with that leather strap. So if you want to pick yourself up one of these Chinese specials, but you don't fancy a daytime piece, if you don't fancy a Monday to Friday watch, it's really got to be the Roomis. At number 3, it's a watch that I reviewed about 3 months ago, and it's the first of the watches on today's list with a high beat 4K automatic movement. The price? $40. So the Star King, also available from AliExpress in a variety of different colours. These ones normally float around the 50 US, but again 11/11 from 40 to 43, and you get a hell of a set of specs regardless of which model you choose. They do 2 dials, a black dial and a white dial, a couple of different straps, a leather or a bracelet. I looked at 2 of them and the quality on both was pretty good. Nice bit of packaging, whichever model you so choose. I also did a sapphire test on this one to confirm it. Nice positive read again from the Star King. And kind of similar dimensions to the Caddis, 40mm, nice little pie pan case, lots of curved surfaces as you can see there, smooth bezel, slips nicely under the cuff of a shirt, 20mm lug width again, and a multi-link bracelet. High polish finish on the case, you even get a little signed crown with the little lotus fruit like Star King logo. Again, solid links, mixture of satinized, brushed and polished finishes on the bracelet. The ubiquitous butterfly clasp holding it all together, and once again we have solid stainless steel end links. Leather strap on that model is perfectly usable, comes with a nice little signed buckle also. So fairly simple and clean, printed dial with applied indices. This one's got a minute track all the way around the outside as well. Star King logo and automatic printed on. Flipping it over to the case back, again all stainless steel, screw down display case, 50 meters of water resistance. Now the movement in this one is obviously Chinese in origin, 25 jewels, Hax hand winds, bi-directional winding, and a little bit of decoration for good measure. But is it any good? Well, judging by the one I had, not bad at all. Plus 2.8 over a couple of weeks, again remarkably accurate. Looks good on wrist. If you don't quite fancy the super high polish of the Caddis, you get a little bit of satinized brushing, leather strap, little sign buckle also in the black one, looks good. So if you want a high beat automatic with sapphire crystal and a choice of finishes for 40, it's got to be the Star King. At number 4, it's the most expensive watch on today's list, but all things are relative. It's the Caddis Diamond. So these ones normally actually retail on Ali for $150, however this particular vendor has it reduced to $130 this weekend. I'll leave a link in the description below and you get a beautiful elegant watch, I think, for that price. 40mm diameter. These ones come in a variety of different colours. There's a rose gold tone, there's a gold PVD finish, or the one that I chose, the parchment coloured dial, so it's slightly off-white. I picked it pretty much because of the blue second hand. Doesn't really show up in some of this video footage, but it looks fantastic in the flesh. Really elegantly designed looking watch, this one. 20mm lug width, as is the way of most of these watches, and a distinctly improved leather strap, nice, soft and compliant. Again, very similar side profile to the Star King, that kind of pie pan case, smooth bezel, but this one a beautiful piece of domed sapphire. So the Caddis Diamond, indeed it features a diamond, or more specifically a diamond crumb, on the index at the 12 o'clock. Now some people are going to love that, some people aren't going to be too keen. In reality, I wore this one out and about. You tend to forget it's there. You concentrate on that gorgeous piece of domed sapphire, distorting the dial at the edges of the viewing angle. Instead, nice finishing throughout, a nice lustrous polish, three-piece case design, kind of vintage style, nice little Caddis logo on the crown, and as noted, full croc, genuine leather strap, but it's a nice, soft, compliant one. However, this is where the action is with the Caddis, a Miyota 9015. I love this movement. 24 jewel high beat Japanese made automatic, looks great, Geneva striping, decoration, and frighteningly accurate. This one coming in just around a second over a month. You can't knock that back for under $150 US, and it looks good on wrist, elegant side profile. Very well proportioned, this one, and that strap really is a distinct improvement on some of the cheaper offerings here today. So if you are prepared to cough up a little bit more money, if $130 is within your budget, I've been recommending this one for months wholeheartedly. I think it's a beautiful looking watch, definitely the prettiest Chinese special that I've come across on AliExpress or Gearbest. So far so good then, 4 watches, all bargains and 4 original designs to boot. But I thought the Chinese were famous for seeking inspiration, shall we say, from other parts. Well, in at number 5 and number 6, 2 watches clearly inspired by Switzerland. And when I say inspired, you know I mean they got the photocopier out. Check the original Longines Master on Joma Shop 2300. Wait for the cutscene, it gets me every time. Look at that, it is bloody identical. Absolutely the same watch with a different label on it. But they've done a remarkably decent job. I mean, it is just the same, but for less than a 50. This one on Gearbest, normal price just under 50. However, take $8 off that, it comes in at a truly ridiculous $41 and change. And I think it is a handsome watch for the price. So we've got a 3-hander, the 4th hand down there pointing at 4 is a date, up at 12 we've got a continuously spinning 30-minute timer as well as the year and the month, down at 6 is a day-night indicator and a continuously spinning 12-hour indicator, and at 9 o'clock we've got a day of the week. 41mm in diameter for this one, quite a chunky 14.5mm thick, not much curvature to the lugs. This one's got a bit more wrist presence than some of the others. The ubiquitous 20mm lug width. Now it is not a sapphire crystal, you get a dead flat mineral crystal, but it's a really well executed watch. Everything lines up nicely, the printing is crisp and it looks great. Flipping over to the back, press case back, 30 meters of water resistance and a display case showing off the Guanqin branded movement. Nicely decorated with some blue screws there. Now the strap on this one, it claims to have been formerly part of a cow, but I'm not too convinced. It looks okay, but it is pretty plasticky. At least we've got a Guanqin branded deployant style butterfly clasp on there, as seems to be the way of these ones, but such a good looking watch. Thanks of course to Longines and not to Guanqin, but just a remarkable deal for less than $42. Don't bother turning up to work, just stay at home all day and press the buttons on your watch instead. But it isn't just Guanqin who've been photocopying the Longines catalogue, Caddis have been at it as well. Here's the original Conquest on Joma Shop for $5.99 and that's for a quartz, by the way. Here's the Caddison version for $54 on Gearbest, much more reasonable, but again you take $8 off that, knocking it down to 46 US dollars. Now this one is the smallest watch that I'm going to show you today, 39mm, so if you are a guy with a smaller wrist, then perhaps this is the one to go for. Nice compact lug to lug and the ubiquitous 20mm lug width. The strap was a good one, again soft and compliant, far better than the piece of toad leather as featured on the previous Guanchin. The dial design is of course pure Longines. You've got those big applied Arabics at the 12 and 6, batons throughout, little date window framed at the 3 o'clock, and the kind of signature Longines lug guards there, and a nice easy access crown on the side. Now the movement, this is a Miyota 8215, it's the first Miyota 8215 that we have encountered today. These are 21 jewels, they hand wind but they don't hack, unidirectional winding. They are however very robust, reliable and remarkably accurate. This one in the winders over the course of a month coming in at around -3 point something. Pretty good result again from a budget watch. Don't forget this one well less than a 50, and that is a piece of genuine sapphire crystal. I was never quite sure what the bezel was made of, but a nice smooth bezel, kind of anthracite finish, looks good once you get it on wrist, and again nice and crisply executed this one. Everything lined up perfectly, and there was a little bit of visual interest, nice bevel edge to those hands on there as well. So if you've got a slightly smaller wrist and you don't mind the Miyota 8215, you can't knock this one back for 46 bucks. And coming in at number 7, it's the second watch on today's list to feature the cracking Miyota 9015 Japanese made decorated 4K automatic movement, and this one manages to sneak in at under 95 US dollars. So the Kennison on AliExpress, a variety of different finishes. There's a two-tone one, there's a bracelet one, normally around 100. I remember paying about 90 odd for mine. That's the double 11 price. Now I admitted it when I did the review, I bought the wrong one. I bought the one with the diamonds. I should have gone for the Roman numerals. I think it's a cleaner design. That's the one that I recommend to you. 40mm diameter, super slim because it features the Miyota 9015 in it. Again, nice compact lug to lug. This one probably the most dainty and delicate, probably the lightest of the bracelet watches that I've featured today. 20mm lug width, dead flat sapphire crystal covering the dial, 3160 stainless steel case, crown bracelet, solid links, multiple finishes, deployant clasp and solid end links again. But really this one is all about that lovely Miyota 9015. I do enjoy looking at these, not that fussed about a display case back on a Seiko to be honest, but I could look at that Miyota all day. These movements normally retail for 80 odd dollars on their own, so it's like you're buying the movement and getting a free sapphire crystal dress watch as a bonus. And how is the movement performing in this one? Well, again, pretty jolly well if I'm being honest, coming in within cost parameters. Again, looks good on wrist this one. I wore this one quite loose, letting it flop around, quite unusual for me. I normally prefer a tight watch, but because it was quite lightweight, I enjoyed it a little bit looser. So my recommendation, buy the Roman numerals. I think it's the cleaner design, but the Kennison, ridiculously low price, the cheapest watch I've found with a 9015 in it. At number 8, something perhaps for the slightly larger gentlemen or gentlemen who prefer their watches slightly larger. It's the Caddis Portofino. So this one's on Gearbest at $52.76, but you're taking $8 back off that, so it comes in at $44.76. Now I call it the Caddis Portofino because I think it bears more than a passing resemblance to an IWC of the same name. Wouldn't call it an homage though, they just struck me as similar. So two different finishes on this one. You can get it in the rose gold with a white dial. It's also available in this rather handsome looking black dial one, and I must say the finish on this watch is great. Not sapphire, it is a domed mineral crystal, but a lovely bit of distortion there. Very nice mixture of brushed and polished surfaces, kind of satinized brushing on the lugs. Nice smooth transitions, nice curve to the case itself, nice polish to that little bezel there, and it's a good looking dial, applied indices, nice rehaut with a chapter ring for the numerals, skeletonized hands adding a little bit of extra visual interest, a little frame around the day date window because this features an NH36 movement by Seiko as well. It's the cheapest watch today that features that Seiko NH36 movement. You even get a bit of lume, but you don't really get an awful lot of lume. So this one features a screw down case back, 3 atmospheres of water resistance, showing off the fact that this one has that Seiko 24 jewel movement as mentioned. Now this strap looks very much like the piece of toad on the Guanchin. The black one is slightly softer and more compliant than the brown one, but don't expect too much. 42mm in diameter this one, 50mm lug tip to lug tip, so it does feel and wear like a bigger watch. It actually reminded me a lot of the Seiko SNZG field watch, very similar set of dimensions to that. This one I swapped the 22mm lug with for a variety of different straps, put it on that all black NATO strap, military style green one, and finally a rather expensive Hirsch Performance one, to show you a few different looks there. But the cheapest Seiko powered watch on the list, 44 bucks, perfect for the slightly larger chap. And last but not least, occupying the final 2 slots on today's top 10 list, it's the Guanchin GJ16034, 2 different versions thereof. Now the Guanchin has been a bit of a channel favourite for close to a year now. Indeed, it was my first pick, my #1 choice on a recent top 10 watches under 50 bucks. Why is it so far down today's Chinese specials list? Why indeed? Well, there's some good news and some not quite so good news with this one. The good news is that it's as cheap as it's ever been. You're not clicking on the $8 voucher here. There's a specific code which takes this one down to $50. Similarly, you need to enter the code rather than the $8 voucher. I'll leave that in the description. That takes the bracelet one down to from 100 bucks to a much more reasonable 80 odd US dollars including delivery. And I certainly had fun with the Guanchin. 41mm in diameter, that polygonal bezel doesn't look like anything else that I've ever come across. Sapphire crystal and a Seiko NH36 movement in the back of it. Wears nicely, kind of splits the difference between the bigger 42 that I've shown you and the smaller 40s. 20mm lug width on one of those toad leather straps. Because it has a Seiko movement, I mucked around with this one, I modified it, put a set of snowflakes on, it became my Guandor vintage leather strap, and again on the Perlon. But reports began to filter in that Guanchin had stopped making these with a Seiko and were now shipping them with a Miyota instead, so I ordered a couple. Ordered one on that rather natty Seiko-like bracelet, and indeed it came with a Miyota 8000 series movement. I also picked up one of the black dial versions on the leather strap to confirm. Here's me peeling off the sticker. My wife finds these everywhere and hates them. It came with a Seiko, go figure. So I can't say with any confidence whether you're going to get the Seiko or the Miyota. AliExpress have a couple of the slightly more obscure two-tone models. Perhaps if you picked up one of these, you might get lucky and get the Seiko. But really, there's nothing wrong with the Miyota. Just don't expect to find the Seiko movement in it. Lovely sunburst effect in the dial. We've got those arrowhead indices. It's nice and slim. Compact lug to lug. Signed crown and 20mm lug width. Now that bracelet is a little bit jazzy, isn't it? Catching the light in all the right places. Pin and collar system on this reminds me of the Sarb 045035, the ubiquitous decorated butterfly clasp and solid end links. So even with the Miyota movement, it is a rock solid choice, I feel. Looks good on wrist, certainly not for the shy and retiring types given how it reflects the light, but it has slipped down the order because it doesn't have the rock solid Seiko movements. But still recommended at the ridiculously low prices, but just be aware you may be getting a Miyota rather than the Seiko. So there you have it, my top 10 Chinese specials then. A whole bunch of watches for not an awful lot of cash outlay. There is a kind of common theme running through them: 40mm dress watch, Seiko NH35, but that is not a bad thing if you're looking for an everyday piece. Pick up that Roomis or perhaps the Caddison if you fancy a bit of a treat. And don't go too crazy in the sales. Remember, Black Friday is just around the corner. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.